Hello and welcome, I'm Raziel. Today's video, bit of a sad one in my opinion, is that it's official. Warlord Games have given back their license to Judge Dredd back to 2000 AD and Rebellion Games. And it is sad to see because this game is absolutely fantastic. I've spoken about it on numerous occasions and it is probably one of the best skirmish games you could buy. It's had what made it even better. It had such a low price point for entry. It was insane. You could spend 20 quid on Judge Dredd, and that would be it. That would be all you would need to play. It has one of the best rule books. It has the best system. It is really, really good game. It was a really fantastic game, and the fact is, with Warlord Games giving back the license to, well, technically Rebellion, it's just it's a sad thing to see because I think some of this is because, and I will hold some of the blame to the boycotters and those people who decided no longer to give money to Games Workshop. You know, he wanted to 3D print all their models. Those are the people I'm going to put some blame on. Because when they were all, we're not giving Games Workshop our money. We're going to 3D print our models. 3D print our models. And I was there saying, like, fine, do that. But play other games. Don't go playing, continue playing Warhammer 40k. Don't continue playing Age of Sigmar. You're boycotting them, yet you're still playing them. Go and play something new. Play something different. And that's been a point I've made so many times, and it's something I will continue to make, because if you really don't want a company to succeed, the last thing you do is take yourself out of the marketplace. Or as a consumer, you don't do that. When you start 3D printing and only 3D printing your models, and that's it. You're not giving money to Mantic. You're not giving money to Warlord, Warcradle, whatever. You're not giving your money to those guys. You're 3D printing your models. Games Workshop doesn't care. Because it's like, all right, we've lost your money. Okay, but you're not giving it to anyone else. Why should we worry? You've just removed yourself. And I've said that you should. If you were going to boycott Games Workshop, 3D printing was not the way to go. Now, I'm not saying 3D printing is bad. I'll never say that. That's entirely up to you. But if you're boycotting a company, you don't want them to continue to succeed if you just completely remove yourself from the marketplace. And that's all they cared about. They didn't care that you were 3D printing your models. They just cared that you weren't giving your money to other people. That's what they worried about. It's like, they didn't want, Warlord to grow. They didn't want Mantic to grow. They just didn't care. And this is how companies work. Yes, you might get the odd person who gets, copyright struck or, something like that, just to, keep them, just to make sure that they maintain the copyright. That's all it really is. And that's the people who sell or make money from their product, okay? Without their consent. That's what that is. If you're just 3D printing your models, you design your own 3D prints and you just make them, they don't care. If you buy the STLs from someone else and you print them for yourself, you're not selling them, they don't care. They care about the person selling the STLs, don't get me wrong. But you, as a general person, as just someone who 3D prints, yeah, that's it. And this really does show, because everyone's going, oh my gosh, we need to play a game that's just as grimdark. So people went to Trench Crusade. And they were going, oh, Trench Crusade's the next big thing. Again, not saying Trench Crusades are good or bad, okay? I'm not putting my opinion on Trench Crusade. But because they were so indoctrinated, I don't want to say that. But so much it was about ideology and the political stance of Games Workshop. They go to Trench Crusade and then they learn that, the makers of Trench Crusade are far leftists and they were being kicked out of Discord and stuff like that. When all it took was 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes to be honest with you, 5 minutes of my time to realise that was going to happen. 5 minutes, because all I had to do was check their Instagram and then you would see it. That's all you had to do. But no. And it was all, we're doing this for this reason, we don't want Games Workshop to go woke. And okay, fine. But you went to a company not doing any background check and then wondered why suddenly you were being kicked out of Discord and stuff like that because you went to people who are just the same. And yeah, honestly, it just seems daft. It really does. And that's why I think it's the bigger insult that, Judge Dredd's the one to die first. Because there isn't a game or a setting more like 40k than Judge Dredd. Than 2000 AD. There isn't one. There really isn't. You have the mega cities, which are basically the hives. Which, actually, to be honest and truthful about this, we got the hives in 40k, which are just basically the mega cities from Judge Dredd. You have the Arbites, which are just the judges. You have the hive gangers, which are just the gangers and the Jews. Games Workshop was heavily inspired by... Yeah, so there's air quotes around that. Judge Dredd, heavily inspired by. I'm not going to say that they took anything because that's an alleged allegation and I'm not going to make that. But yes. So the one system, which is a fantastic game, which you could have gone to and supported and literally given your money to which was very much like Games Workshop. It was a established franchise. It's an established IP. It has a good fan base within the comics. Comics and, games very rarely actually intersect. And rather than doing that, you had these boycotters 3D printing and still playing Warhammer. And I'm like, if you're boycotting, why are you still playing Warhammer? Well, I'm not giving them money. Yes. But the people you play against are. The people you're playing against on average, I know there's going to be some people, well, my whole group just 3D prints. Like, yeah, well done. You could have just literally gone out, brought Judge Dredd, had it almost, actually, no, you could have pretty much had all the judges, including Dredd, Hershey, Anderson, and you could have done that, and you wouldn't have had to pay for a 3D printer. No, you wouldn't barely. You could have. I don't think you would even have to pay as much as for the resin itself. Anyway, but that's the thing. That's just the kind of problem it is. This is Judge Dredd's dead, and it's sad. It's sad because it's a fantastic game. It's sad because when people were boycotting, no one went there. They would rather just shout and scream and do everything. I never boycotted. I said this. I've always found about quality of the product. That's my angle. If a game is good, it is good. And Judge Dredd is, or now was, a good game. And it's now going. And if you want to get into it, you're going to have to buy it now because it's not being remade. It was a fantastic game and really worth anyone playing. And if you want the grim dark future but didn't want Games Workshop, because actually this was going to be part of that, Judge Dredd was literally that. Anyway, to sum up, Judge Dredd's dying, dead, license gone back. People who 3D printed and didn't give money to anyone else are partially to blame because they boycotted Games Workshop but didn't want to actually do anything that would actually help anyone else. And then they got bit in the ass by Trench Crusade, even though I kind of knew that was going to happen. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you actually want to get some Judge Dredd stuff, but it's still about a discount, hit Wailing Games down below. It's like up to 20% off, and it's ridiculously cheap right now. And yeah, honestly, go for that. You're not going to be upset. It's a fantastic game. The models look really good too. And of course, there's a 4-bit plan, comic DVDs, mangas. There is also my merchandise, comics, t-shirts, all that cool groovy stuff that everyone else does. There is also Skyforge, never forget Skyforge, good friend of mine. And finally, Patreon, because business. Bye-bye.